Hi, fans of high-quality entertainment. Today's tier list is 1970, and that was a pretty good year for music because I have 54 albums that I'm pretty familiar with. And as always, you're going to find some albums missing, and it's because I either don't know them that well or I have never even heard them. So here we go. And there's all of the albums there. So S is Superior, and then A, B, C, and D. And in no particular order, we start with Canadian content. The Guess Who, American Woman, that is A tier. Lots of great music on that. Atomic Rooster, I think that's their very first album. They're all really good, the early albums. I'm going to put that in A tier also. Randy Newman, 12 songs. That's going to be an A tier, just in that order so far. Humble Pie, their third self-titled album. Boy, that's going to go in A tier. Like I said, lots of great albums in 1970. Okay, the band Stage Fright, I do own it. I just can't connect with it. But I love Cahoots for whatever strange reason. It's my favorite album by the band. So I'm going to put that in B tier. I still, enjoy listening to it, but it's just not one of my favorites. Creedence Clearwater Revival, Pendulum, I feel, is underrated. I'm putting that in A tier. Right there. Uriah Heep, their debut album. Very heavy, very humble is what it's. Very, very heavy, very humble is how it's titled. I had not heard that until maybe about a year ago. I just love it. Once again, it's A tier. I'm sorry. Right there. Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Water. S tier. Finally, we have one in S tier. Yes, Time and a Word, their second album. I think it's the debut here. I guess I missed the debut. I believe that came out in 1970 also. But both of them, for me, are S tier. I think they're just as strong as the later albums. Paddle. I did have this album. I had the box set, but I just, never listened to the other albums. But this one, the debut, it was very good. I'll put that in B tier. Just behind Stage Fright. Badfinger, No Dice. I have that on CD. I got it for like $5 at a used CD store. Very nice to come across that. I think that's A tier too, but near the end. Yeah. Grand Funk, Closer to Home. I'm going to put that in A tier. At the beginning of A tier. Ahead of the Guess Who. George Harrison, All Things Must Pass. Excluding, I don't know, do you include the Jam with that? Because if you include the Jam is good, but it's not S tier. I don't know. I'm going to put it in A tier. I know a lot of you would put it in S tier, but I'll put it in A tier at the very beginning. Rod Stewart, An Old Raincoat Will Never Let You Down. It's in B. Right there. McCartney, his first album. Back in the day, I would have maybe put it in B tier, But just, through the years, I've just grown to absolutely love the album. So it's S tier for me. Right there. Atomic Rooster with another album. Death Walks Behind You. That's even better than the debut. I'll put that also in A. I'm going to put that in S tier because it is. Every time I hear it, every song is great. Pretty Things Parachute, my favorite album that I've heard by Pretty Things. I'd put that in A tier. Just ahead of Atomic Rooster. The Doors, Morrison Hotel. I think all of the Doors albums with Jim Morrison are at least A tier. I'll put that in A tier. Just ahead of the Guess Who. Santana, Abraxas, is that how you say it? I've heard it a few times. I liked it. I know some would put it in A tier or S tier. I'll put it in B tier. At the start of B tier. Miles Davis, Bitches Brew. I like saying that. I've only heard that through, all of the album. It's a double album a couple of times, but I always really enjoy it. So for now, I'll put it in A tier. I'll put it at the end of A tier because I still need to soak it all in. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, their first album. I love Knife's Edge and Lucky Man. The rest of it, not as much. I'll put that in B tier, just for me. Just remember, I'm not saying some albums are better than others. I'm just saying these are my favorites, So I'll put Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Yeah, right there. Pink Floyd, Adam Hart, Mother. I need to listen to that more. I don't have it right now on CD. I'm going to put it in B tier. Let me know where you would put Adam Hart, Mother. Right there. Canned Heat, Future Blues is A tier. I love that album. Put it right near the beginning. Yep. Black Sabbath, Paranoid is S tier. Put it at the very beginning of S tier. T for the Tillerman, Cat Stevens is A tier. Just ahead of Miles Davis. This is going to be a long video. Okay, Steppenwolf 7. Not one of my... It's a very good album, but I love other albums more. I'll put that in B tier. At the start of B tier. Frank Zappa, Chunga's Revenge. Love some of the songs on it, and the other ones are just, okay. I'll put that in B tier. One of these is Yoko Ono, Plastic Ono Band. The other one is John Lennon. It's hard to kind of tell here. Anyway, let's say this is the Yoko Ono, Plastic Ono Band. I like Approximately Infinite Universe a lot more. But this one is still good. It's got one of my favorite Yoko songs, Why, on it, with amazing guitar work by John Lennon. I'll put that in B tier. Right about there. And the John Lennon one, S tier, ahead of Paul McCartney. Right there, just before Paranoid. Three Dog Night, Naturally, good album. I'll put that in B tier. Right there. Can, Monster Movie, love the album. I'm going to put that in S tier. Right there. Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band. Lick My Decals Off, Baby. I can't get into it. I mean, I love some of the songs, but as a whole album, I'll put that in B tier. Ahead of Three Dog Night. Let It Be, the Beatles, that's S tier. It's at the head of S tier. Colosseum. Okay, that's the American version. I like the British version of it more. This one is called The Grass is Greener. I'll still put it in A tier. Right with Miles Davis. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Deja Vu. Right near the start of A tier. Right there. Procol Harum, Home. A tier. Right there. King Crimson Lizard, I've only heard a couple of times. I was recently gifted it. I do like it. I'll just put it in B tier, at the end of B tier for now. The Velvet Underground, Loaded, S tier. I love it even more than Simon & Garfunkel, so it's going to go there. Here you go. Deep Purple in Rock, I've only heard a handful of times. I actually love their first 3 albums more. So just for me, I'll put that in B tier. Right there. Genesis Trespass, I think, is underrated. I will put that in A tier. The studio, I love the live version of The Knife more, but the studio version is great too. Right there. Frank Zappa, The Mothers of Invention, Weasels Ripped My Flesh. Kind of similar to Chunga's Revenge. I'll put it there. Black Sabbath, their first album. That's still going to be S tier. But not as... I like Paranoid more, though. I'll put it right there. Led Zeppelin 3 is S tier. I loved it, as soon as it came out. Right there. Jethro Tull. Is that Benefit, I believe? I'll put that in B tier. At the end of B tier. Lord Sutch and Heavy Friends with Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, John Bonham. It's kind of a fun listen, even though Lord Sutch sucks at singing. I'll put that in B tier. So far there's no C or D. Put that at the end of B tier. Van Morrison, Moondance. Side 1 is stronger than side 2, but still a great album. I'll put that in A tier. Right there. Cosmos Factory, the best CCR album for me. S tier. Ahead of Paranoid. Yep. David Bowie, The Man Who Sold the World. That's the UK cover, I believe. A tier. Excellent. Right ahead of the Guess Who. The Beach Boys, Sunflower. It's S tier. It's one of my favorite Beach Boys albums. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 albums ahead of it. Tumbleweed Connection, Elton John. The very first album by Elton John I ever heard. I haven't heard it in quite a while, so I'll just put it kind of in the middle of beat here. And there. The Kinks' Lola versus Power Man and the Money Go Round, Part 1. We're still waiting for Part 2. My second favorite Kinks album after Arthur. Ahead of Cam, monster movie. What is that? Oh, that's Gasoline Alley. That's a different album cover than the one that was in Canada. That is excellent. I'm going to put that in A tier. Right there. The Moody Blues, A Question of Balance, A tier. Right there. One more. Burnt Weenie Sandwich, Frank Zappa, The Mothers of Invention. We'll put that in B tier. Right there. And that's it. So that's how strong, at least for me, 1970 was. S tier, A tier, and B tier for all of these albums. So that's it. I would love your thoughts in the comment section below. Please remember to like the video and subscribe, and let me know what albums from 1970 should be on this tier list. But like I said, I probably have not heard them, or I'm not that familiar with the albums. Thank you. Bye.